Welcome to all of you to our second edition of Farmers Connect 2021. I take this opportunity to welcome Professor Ashok Gulati. He doesn't need any introduction, but however, I have been told to formally announce Mr. Gulati, Infosys Chair Professor, Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations, former Chairman, Commission of Agriculture Cost and Prices, Government of India, Director of International Food Policy Research Institute, member of Prime Minister Economic Advisory Council. Anything wrong, Professor Gulati?
That's fine.
Anything wrong? Anything wrong? Did I miss anything?
I'm a perpetual student. That's what my introduction is.
Yeah. Sir, thank you very much for giving us time. And I'm sure that we will gain a lot of knowledge, and also will be benefited. The entire community will be benefited from the interactions. Okay. And I believe our Honorable Minister has joined.
Yes.
Okay. So I cordially welcome Honorable Minister in charge, Mr. Sri Biplab Mitra, Minister in charge, Department of Agriculture, Marketing, Government of West Bengal. We are honored with your gracious presence, sir. We look forward to your valuable deliberations today. Welcome Dr. B. N. Sebastov Murthy, Director ICAR, Government of India. It's a great pleasure having you in the midst us today. We would love to have your inputs on horticulture sector in the East. Friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, we are all waiting for the interactive sessions and what Professor Gulati will tell us, but sometimes it compels us to say a few words, so I will take the liberty to speak for 5 minutes. You know, at CII, through initiative as Farmers Connect, we aim at working closely with farmers, the companies, developmental institutions, and the government with the following objectives of improving on and off farm productivity through the introduction and dissemination of global best practices and technological innovations. Improving global competitiveness of India's agriculture by investing in capacity building initiatives and skill development for supply chain participants across the value chain. Strengthening linkage across agriculture and food value chain with an objective of reducing wastage, increasing value addition, and enhancing farmers' income. We are committed to work towards improving the competitiveness of India's agriculture and food processing sector by catalyzing innovation, building capacity, and enhancing productivity across the agriculture and food value chain, ensuring food security and inclusive growth. We have to go a long way, and India is expected to achieve the ambitious goal of doubling farmer income by 2022. The agriculture sector in India is expected to generate better momentum in the next few years due to increased investment in agricultural infrastructure such as irrigation facilities, warehousing, and cold storage. Furthermore, the growing use of genetically modified crops will likely to improve the yield for Indian farmers. India is expected to be self-sufficient in pulses in the coming few years due to concerted effort of scientists to get early maturing varieties of pulses and the increase in minimum support price. The Economic Survey of India 2021 report stated that FY20, the total food grain production in the country was recorded at 297 million tons. It is up by 12 million tons. The government had set a target of 42.75 million tons from the central pool in FY21. This is 10% more than quantity purchased last year. Government has set a record target of farmers to raise food grain production by 2%. Production of horticulture crop in India was estimated at a record of 326 million metric ton as per third advanced estimates, an increase of 5.8 million metric ton. India has the largest livestock population of around 538 million, which translates to around 31% of world population. The milk production in the country is expected to increase to 208 MT in FY21, registering a growth of 10%. Area under horticulture is projected to rise by 3% in FY21. Between April 20 and February 21, total value of processed food exports was 43,798 crores. India exported key processed food products such as pulses, processed vegetables, processed foods and juices, groundnuts, etc. Agriculture is the primary source of livelihood for about 58% of India's population. Gross value added by agriculture, forestry, fishing was estimated at 19.50 crore in FY20. Share of agriculture and allied sector in gross value added of India at current prices to 17.8%. Consumer spending in India will return to growth in 2021, post the pandemic led construction expanding as much as 6.7%. The Indian food industry is poised for huge growth, increasing its contribution to world food trade every year due to its immense potential for value addition, particularly within the food processing industry. Indian food and grocery market is the world's sixth largest, with retail contributing 70% of the sales. The Indian food processing industry accounts for 32% of country's total food market, one of the largest industries in India, and is ranked fifth in terms of production, consumption, export, and expected growth. Principal agricultural commodities export in April 20 to January 21 was $32 million. ENAM was launched in April 2016 to create a unified national market for agricultural commodities by networking existing APMCs. It had 16.9 million farmers registered on its platform until February 21. Over 1,000 mandis in India are already linked to ENAM, and 22,000 additional mandis are expected to be linked by 21-22. Now we can go on giving the data. I believe that will not help us in anything. These are all available in the internet. Now I will stop and I will request our dignitaries to speak and interact. I end here and wishing all the very best to today's initiative. Let us go ahead with the further discussions. Handed over to Dr. Abhishekta.
Thank you, sir. Now we will have launch of world's first nano fertilizer by IFFCO. There is a small video. I request our IT person to launch the video, please.
विश्व की सबसे बड़ी किसानों की सहकारी संस्था इंडियन फार्मर्स फर्टिलाइजर्स कोऑपरेटिव लिमिटेड इफको पिछले 5 दशकों से भी अधिक समय से उर्वरता उत्पादन एवं विपणन के साथ मिट्टी की उर्वरता तथा फसल उत्पादकता को बढ़ाने के लिए निरंतर कार्यरत है और बेहतर कृषि एवं किसानों के सामाजिक एवं आर्थिक विकास के लिए सदैव प्रभावी कदम उठाए हैं। बढ़ती हुई जनसंख्या के लिए पर्यावरण सुरक्षा के साथ खाद्यान्न उत्पादन बढ़ाना संपूर्ण विश्व के लिए एक गंभीर चुनौती है, जिसका समाधान नवीनतम कृषि तकनीकी एवं सक्षम उत्पादों का उपयोग ही है। इफको ने किसानों की संस्था होने के नाते अपने दायित्व और कृषि की वर्तमान चुनौतियों को ध्यान में रखते हुए नैनो तकनीक आधारित और विश्व स्तर पर पेटेंटेड स्वदेशी नैनो यूरिया उत्पाद तैयार किया है, जिसका विकास नैनो बायोटेक्नोलॉजी रिसर्च सेंटर NBRC इफको कलोल गुजरात के वैज्ञानिकों द्वारा किया गया है। नैनो यूरिया पर कार्य करने के मुख्य उद्देश्य हैं: 1. परंपरागत नाइट्रोजन उर्वरक की जगह बेहतर उपयोग दक्षता एवं प्रभावी तकनीकी वाला पोषक विकल्प प्रदान करना। 2. यूरिया के असंतुलित एवं अंधाधुंध प्रयोग को कम करना। 3. अधिक फसल उत्पादन प्राप्त करना। और 4. नाइट्रोजन के संतुलित और बेहतर प्रयोग के द्वारा मिट्टी, वायु व जल प्रदूषण को कम करना। नैनो तकनीक द्वारा बनाए गए नैनो उर्वरक पर्यावरण को नुकसान पहुंचाए बिना फसलों को पोषकता प्रदान करते हैं। ये कृषि में पारंपरिक उर्वरक प्रबंधन का बेहतर विकल्प प्रदान करते हैं। नाइट्रोजन पौधों की अच्छी बढ़वार और विकास के लिए एक प्रमुख पोषक तत्व है। वर्तमान में किसानों द्वारा फसल की नाइट्रोजन की आवश्यकता को पूरा करने के लिए यूरिया का प्रयोग किया जाता है। यूरिया का उपयोग पूरी तरह से फसलों द्वारा नहीं कर पाने से वायु, मृदा और जल प्रदूषण द्वारा पर्यावरण को नुकसान पहुंच रहा है। नैनो यूरिया के दानों की तुलना में अति सूक्ष्म एवं प्रभावी होने से समान रूप से पौधे के सभी भागों में वितरित होकर अनुकूल प्रभाव दिखाता है और पौधों की आवश्यकता के अनुसार उपलब्ध होता रहता है। पत्तियों पर छिड़काव करने पर इसे आसानी से सीधे या स्टोमेटा के माध्यम से आंतरिक क्रियाओं द्वारा पौधे की आवश्यकता अनुसार प्रोटीन, अमीनो एसिड आदि के रूप में ग्रहण कर लिया जाता है। प्लांट सेल वाक्याल में संग्रहित नैनो नाइट्रोजन संयंत्र की जरूरत के अनुसार धीरे धीरे पौधों को उपलब्ध होता है। बेहतर परिणाम के लिए नैनो यूरिया की 500 मिलीलीटर बोतल का प्रयोग फसल की क्रांतिक अवस्थाओं पर किया जाना चाहिए। पहला छिड़काव फसल के विकास की प्रारंभिक अवस्था में तथा दूसरा छिड़काव फूल निकलने से पहले की अवस्था में करना चाहिए। इफको नैनो की 500 मिलीलीटर बोतल द्वारा यूरिया के प्रयोग में कम से कम 1 बैग की कमी की जा सकती है। इससे मृदा एवं पर्यावरण संरक्षण के साथ बेहतर उत्पादन भी प्राप्त होता है। इफको नैनो यूरिया का उपयोग अनाज, दलहन, तिलहन, सब्जियां, फलों, टर्फ घास जैसी सभी प्रकार की फसलों में सुरक्षित रूप से किया जा सकता है। इफको नैनो यूरिया का मूल्यांकन भारत सरकार के जैव प्रौद्योगिकी विभाग DBT और फर्टिलाइजर कंट्रोल ऑर्डर 1985 द्वारा जारी नैनो एग्री इनपुट के मूल्यांकन के लिए निर्धारित दिशा निर्देशों के अनुसार किया गया है, जो कि DBT भारत सरकार और FCO 1985 भारत सरकार द्वारा ICAR, KVK और NABL मान्यता प्राप्त प्रयोगशालाओं में संस्तुतियों पर आधारित है। सभी परीक्षणों द्वारा ये भी प्रमाणित किया गया है कि इफको नैनो उत्पाद फसल, किसान और पर्यावरण के लिए पूरी तरह सुरक्षित है। इनके प्रयोग से मृदा स्वास्थ्य में सुधार होगा और अधिक फसल उत्पादन प्राप्त करने के साथ यूरिया की बढ़ती मांग एवं अंधाधुंध प्रयोग को भी कम किया जा सकेगा। इफको नैनो यूरिया के प्रयोग के और भी कई फायदे हैं। नैनो फर्टिलाइजर एक लागत प्रभावी समाधान है जो सब्सिडी वाली यूरिया के 1 बैग के मुकाबले 10% सस्ता है। इससे खेती की लागत कम होती है और इसका प्रयोग शुष्क भूमि और संरक्षित खेती में भी किया जा सकता है। इफको नैनो यूरिया के प्रयोग से भारत सरकार की हजारों करोड़ की उर्वरक सब्सिडी की बचत हो सकती है। भारतीय कृषि अनुसंधान परिषद ICAR और राज्य कृषि विश्वविद्यालयों SAUs द्वारा किए गए फसल परीक्षण के परिणाम ये बताते हैं कि इफको नैनो यूरिया के प्रयोग से किसान को लगभग 2000 रुपए प्रति एकड़ का अतिरिक्त मुनाफा होगा। नैनो यूरिया के प्रयोग से किसानों की आय में वृद्धि होगी उर्वरक आयात पर होने वाले विदेशी मुद्रा व्यय एवं सब्सिडी के खर्चों को भी कम करने में सहयोग मिलेगा। इफ्को नैनो यूरिया देश के उस सपने को पूरा करता है जिसमें नवीन तकनीक और स्वदेशी कृषि उत्पादों से भारत की कृषि और किसानों की समस्याओं का समाधान होगा। इफ्को नैनो यूरिया का उद्देश्य आत्मनिर्भर कृषि और आत्मनिर्भर भारत की संकल्पना को साकार कर अधिकतम किसानों तक पहुंचाना है। ये विशिष्ट एवं प्रभावी कृषि आदान के रूप में फसल एवं आहार पोषण की गुणवत्ता को बढ़ाने में भी सक्षम है।
Thank you. Now we will have our special address on Indian food system, achievements and emerging trends. Address by Professor Ashok Gulati. He is the Infosys Chair Professor, Agriculture e-Career. He is the former Chairman of CSCP Government of India, Director IFPRI, member of PM Economic Advisory Council. May I now request Professor Gulati to address. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abhishek Roy Chaudhary. Good afternoon to everyone. Mr. Banerjee, Chairman of the Eastern Region of CII, Honorable Minister Biplab Mitraji, Jayamto, my old good friend, and Partha, who actually forced me to be here with you today. But it's a pleasure to share my thoughts on some of the issues of the full food system. I'm told that I can take about half an hour for my talk, and then it will be followed by 15-20 minutes of interaction, Q&A. What I would like to do is divide my whole thing into 3 parts. First is looking at the food system as a whole, not just the production. What we have been doing, what we are currently doing, and what we are likely to do in the future on that front. But also one of the other things is the agriculture marketing part, the logistics part, which we have not played at the same level at which we have played the production part. And third, which is most important, is also looking at no more the production or the marketing, but how well we are treating the health of the people and health of the planet. That is the issue of sustainability and malnutrition in our people. So that's the way I would like to look at it. And what I would say is let's first be happy on what we have done in the past over the last 50, 60 years. We know where we were in 60s when we were literally living from ship to mouth situation. And we imported seeds from outside of wheat and rice. And within 4 or 5 years, and that's the biggest wonder literally in the developing world, that within 4 years, 5 years, between 66 to 71, India achieved literally self-sufficiency in basic staples. No other country perhaps has done it in such a short span. And the catalyst of change came from outside, CIMET for wheat and IRI for rice. We know about that, but what is not played at the same level in terms of recognition is that in 1965, there were 2 other institutions that were created at the center. And that was the Agriculture Prices Commission and Food Corporation of India. And the idea was that when you bring in new technology, the production may get a boost, but whenever the production gets a boost, normally the prices start collapsing because the infrastructure for storage and marketing literally caves in. So the idea was to give a positive and remunerative price to the farmers. which was the job of Agriculture Prices Commission, and later on I had a privilege to chair that, which is called CACP today, and also Food Corporation of India. Now, this critical role of technology plus policy of remunerative prices was critical at that time, which led to the unleashing of the Green Revolution. The second big revolution that I do want to talk about, which is actually bigger than perhaps wheat and rice revolutions, is the revolution in milk. That's the white revolution that we had from 70 onwards up to 90s or so, 1995, around that time. So this is more important because the value of milk today is actually more than the value of rice or wheat or pulses altogether, or perhaps sugarcane also into that basket. So this is a bigger revolution. And just to give one example, in 1951, US, the largest producer of milk, was at that time at about 53 million tons, and India was at 17 million tons. Today, India is 208 and US is hovering around 100. So you can think of the big gap. And the second one is 100 million tons less than us, or more than 105, 7, 8 million tons less than us. And China is way behind on that, or Pakistan and anybody else way behind. And this was done all by the smallholders. So the very fact, if you can do the Farmers Connect, which is the theme of this, your event today, if you can do the Farmers Connect even with the smallholders, those who have 2 or 4 animals, and they can sell, and it was more an institutional revolution rather than a technological revolution. The art of collecting milk from the smallholders, we all know what Dr. Kurian had done. But what I want to also emphasize in this, that once milk sector was totally delicensed in 2002-3, the way milk production has progressed, and the processing of it has progressed. It is like a double engine pushing the growth of milk sector. And milk sector is very poverty alleviating, much more than wheat and rice, for which a farmer has to wait for 4 months. Whereas in milk, every day he can get some money. And 70% of employment is actually of women. So it's a very interesting aspect of this revolution. Last one I do want to talk about, in the last 20 years, what India has achieved. One of the biggest revolution was the BT cotton revolution. BT is somewhat controversial around the world. But the very fact that today India is the largest producer of cotton, and it was 3-4 years back second largest exporter of cotton. It has come down a little bit. We have started exporting more of yarn rather than raw cotton. But the success story of even garment exports by Bangladesh or Vietnam rests a lot on they are importing raw cotton from us. But we could not build the whole value chain going up from farm to factory to fashion to foreign exporting garments and value addition things. But the very fact is that we are producing, and 95% of the area roughly is under BT today. We can talk more later on in the Q&A. Now, all this production revolution and overall that we see, if we look towards 2030, we are in reasonably safe bet that India will be able to feed itself. In terms of basic population, we will be the largest and most populous country in the world by 2027, surpassing China. But despite that and increasing incomes of the people, the pressure of demand on food and feed and fiber is going to increase. But looking at the next 10 years, we are likely to remain more or less self-reliant in agriculture. Today, we are a net exporter of agriculture. In 2021, India exported 17.7 million tons of rice. You can think of where we were a net huge importer living from ship to mouth, and today we are the largest exporter of rice in the world. But as we talk about rice, I think the time as we go next 10 years is not just increasing production or productivity even. We have to look at how sustainably we are producing that. And that is a critical issue. What we know is in the erstwhile Green Revolution belt of Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, water table has been depleting like anything. Almost 30 centimeters a year. Water table in Punjab is going down, and at some places even like 70 centimeters a year, it's going down. So it's a very pathetic situation, and some of the policies like free power and extremely subsidized urea are adding to a lot of greenhouse gas emissions besides the depletion of water table. And this greenhouse gas emissions, the CO2 equivalents, largest is coming within the crop sector from rice, methane emissions. And if we have to care about the planet and the greenhouse gas emissions have to be reduced, then we will have to change the way we have been doing business in our agriculture, especially rice, even more so in the livestock sector, but we can come to that again later on. What are the best ways through which we can keep our productivity high, but also reduce the carbon emissions? In fact, I'll go a step further, that how do we develop carbon markets in the country? Because agriculture creates greenhouse gas emissions, but also it can do carbon sequestration if you follow the right practices. And can the farmers be rewarded for carbon sequestration? So you damage the planet less, but also you enrich your soils, and you can make some money out of that if we can develop carbon markets in the country where the big thermal plants or big industries should be paying a compensation to those who do carbon sequestration. And agriculture has a lot of scope to do that. So those are the frontiers for the next 5 years, 10 years that we have to do. Already US, Brazil, China are doing those things, and I think India is lagging behind on that. And given the IPCC report and the Paris Agreement and now the COP26 coming up, I think countries are committing, and therefore this is a big opportunity that we can tap into with a focus on how to augment farmers' incomes through carbon sequestration or reducing carbon emissions by changing our farming practices. That's a big area in which we would like to. I was listening to the nano fertilizer ad of IFCO, and that also talks about that how do you reduce the CO2 equivalent emissions into the environment. So these will be innovative products that can be promoted. There could be innovative farming practices, but also we may have to reduce our area under more water intensive crops like rice and sugarcane. I'll come down to that in a minute. But think about China has about 29 million hectares under rice and produces about 145 million tons of rice. We have almost 44 million hectares under rice cultivation, and our production is 117, 118 million tons. So there is a lot of scope to reduce the area under rice, increase productivity, and that will reduce the carbon emissions into the environment. We need to get into the format on that. But I do want to talk about something interesting, and that should be of interest perhaps to the Honorable Minister. I understand he is the Minister for Agriculture Marketing. I think our farmers have done great job on the production side, and our policy also, whether it was the Krishi Bhavan in the center, 80% of the focus of the policy is on production. Now, that was right in 60s or 70s and perhaps also 80s, but now we are saddled with huge grain stocks in the country. We have self-sufficient. Availability is not a problem at all. We need to talk about also at the same pitch on agriculture marketing part. And agriculture marketing had been neglected in this country for a long, long time, I would say. And the way now many of the small scale, even traders and manufacturers are being onboarded on digital platform of Amazons and Tata Click and Flipkarts of this world. Why not farmers organizations can directly be onboarded on digital platform, so that the logistic networks needs to be created of cold chains and others for fresh fruit, and all this massive logistics investments need to be done, so that sitting wherever I am, I can order just on digital platform, and good quality things, certified things can come right on my doorstep. I think we have to think eNAM was a step in that direction, but I think it's a long, long way we have to go unless we start grading and assaying and packaging into that. And all this work has to be done by the private sector. Government cannot do. Government can only change the policy and create an ecosystem which can facilitate these investments. And then the players within the CII and FICCI and ASSOCHAMs of this world, they need to come forward to create a pan-India agriculture market. Sorry, there's some disturbance. So there is a pan-India market. Why can't I create that? And a reason for that is also that at present, if you look at what is the gap between the wholesale price that the farmer gets or at its farm and the price that the consumer is paying, then there is a wide gap. In case of fruits and vegetables, typically farmer gets 1/3 of the price that the consumer is paying. And that speaks of a massive deficit of logistics and the storage facilities in the country, and grading and sorting and packaging industry needs to come up in a big way to reduce, number one, the wastages, and also to reduce the transaction cost, the intermediation cost in between. And it is from that angle, I think we have to come out of the old mindset that I go to the mandi and sell everything to the government. That's not going to work, especially in the perishable commodities. You look at the example of milk in this country, there is no minimum support price. It's like a contract between the cooperative milk cooperatives and the processors and the big milk players, whether it is Amul or Hudson or Caventer or others. So all these people are doing a sort of a contract farming with the farmers in terms of assuring them a reasonable price, and a revolution has already taken off the ground on that. We have to go towards a similar thing in our fruits and vegetables and other high value products. So bottom line is that on the marketing front, the policy environment had not been there very conducive in the decades preceding when we had the revolution on the production side. And this is high time to liberate the system and create more innovative ideas. And many startups are coming in that, which are delivering things on your doorstep, a good quality product and safe product. Food safety also has to be given a very high priority. But I do want to say here, research that we did over the last 3-5 years, which is a 300-page document on the OECD website. OECD monitors agriculture, and we have done that for the last 20 years in India since 2000, 2001. An interesting thing that we have found is the following, and that should be of interest to Mr. Mitra, that overall Indian farmers have been net taxed despite the fact that there is an income policy or such. despite the fact that they get so much of input subsidies on fertilizer or credit or insurance and so on and so forth, despite all these subsidies, their output prices have been suppressed. And how they are suppressed? You can see only a few days back, SEBI announced suspension of futures markets of chana. Earlier, they announced stocking limits government announced on pulses. The basic idea is to bring the prices down. Sometimes they put export controls. Onion prices go up, immediately put export controls. So these very restrictive trading and agriculture marketing practices typically show that there is a consumer bias in the system. I can understand that as a policy maker, you have to keep a very, you're walking on a razor thin, sword type of a thing. You have to balance the interest of the farmers as well as of the consumer. So one foot is on the accelerator, giving subsidies and support to the farmer, but one foot is also on the brake so that prices don't go beyond, if RBI's tolerance limit is 6% and CPI goes beyond 6%, immediately the controls will start from the government side to bring the prices down. Now, when you ex post analyze over a longer period of 20 years, and that's what we did, India, out of 54 countries, there are only 3 countries that implicitly tax their farmers through restrictive trading and marketing policies. Only 3 countries out of 54 countries. China, in a big way, supports 5 times more support to their farmers than what we are doing. We are implicitly taxing. So the first thing is remove this taxation part. If you want to support the poor consumers or protect the poor consumers, the right way is to use an income policy. Directly give them whatever you can afford to give from your budget. Don't suppress the prices for the farmer, because the moment you suppress the prices, you are harming the interest of the farmers and therefore the investments by them. And if you are putting these stocking limits or suspensions and all that, then the logistics players are not induced to invest in the long-term thing. And then you will always have higher wastages and price crash at the time of. So this policy switch that is needed from price policy to income policy. And that also I would submit for the farmers. Today we are giving huge support to the farmers through input subsidies, say fertilizers. Urea is 75% subsidized. What is he doing? He is using excessively urea in the field, creating all sorts of greenhouse gas emissions. The response function of urea has come down dramatically from where it used to be, and it's not the best efficient use of urea. So besides the fact which IFFCO was saying, they have come up with an innovative product of nano fertilizers, we need innovative policy. Instead of subsidizing urea, why don't we give to the farmer equivalent amount on per hectare basis, that this is what is for you for aggregate input subsidy, whatever you want to give, club all the subsidies on fertilizers or insurance or credit and give on per hectare basis to the farmers, and let them practice whether they want to practice natural farming or they want to do inorganic farming or whichever the way, so that the distortions in the system are reduced. So my first policy message for getting the system right, for better environment, for better diversification, and for better demand-led system would be to switch away from price policy approach, both for the farmers as well as the consumers. When you are giving a 2 rupees or 3 rupees rice or wheat, I can bet 30–40% leaks away. No matter how good is your governance. The earlier data that we worked out on NSSO data, 46% was the leakage. That is 2011 data. After that, we don't have the consumption survey, But even now, the ground reports that I get, at least 30% is leaking away, which is one of the reasons why our rice exports went so high. To the government, it costs 43 rupees a kg rice. In Bihar, you can easily get reasonably good rice between 25 to 30 rupees in the open market. And so government first buys them at MSP, the cost goes up to 43 rupees a kg, and then gives back to them at 2 rupees, 3 rupees, and quite a bit of that leaks away from the system. Massive distortion in the system. So much so, if you look at the food subsidy bill in 2021, imagine the food subsidy bill was 31% of the union government's total revenue after deducting the state share. The net revenue of the union government, 31% was spent only and only on food subsidy. And that is still not reaching the most deserving people at the bottom of the pyramid. And malnutrition still rules very high. Let me come down to malnutrition, which I feel while in 60s, 70s, 80s, our challenge was food security and producing enough for our population. For the next 10 years, our challenge is ensuring nutritional security. The numbers that we have, overall, our population, about 15-16% is malnourished in the country. That's the latest data. But the children below the age of 5, almost 35%, 37% are stunted. And that is the problem, because think about it, how the agriculture policy leads to also this type of stunting, besides many other factors. Think about that excessive use of urea has led to deficiency in our soils of micronutrients. They are zinc deficient. When our soils are zinc deficient, then wheat and rice have become zinc deficient. And because of wheat and rice becoming zinc deficient, deficiency of zinc in the diets of the children causes stunting. So we need to also bring innovative products, and that is where biofortification, ICAR has done a wonderful job. In fact, the latest information I got from the Director General only today is that 71 varieties and products have been biofortified. And this is not GM technology. This is the traditional breeding technology through which they have biofortified, iron-rich, zinc-rich. In fact, I had been consuming wheat, which is purple wheat and black wheat and blue wheat, which has qualities which are antioxidants, which are like 3 to 10 times higher than the normal wheat. And that can help you to check your cancerous tendencies. So we need to now use technology from not just for food security, but also attack our biggest challenge for the next 10 years, nutritional security. The natural process which our grandmother told was always have a balanced diet. You and me perhaps can afford the type of balanced diet if we can stay away from the junk foods of the Western world being promoted here. But for the poor, it becomes difficult to have enough of meat or enough of milk and enough of fruits and vegetables. And therefore, if their diet is loaded with too much of rice or wheat or any staple, and if you can biofortify that with higher iron or higher protein or higher zinc, then perhaps we can shortcut and conquer this challenge of malnutrition at an early age, at an early stage. That is one thing that I would like to put Prime Minister on the World Food Day, on the World Earth Day, was it when he announced, he released I think 17 varieties at that time, but the latest is the 71 varieties that ICAR has developed. Harvest Plus has been working on that at an international level and in about 40 countries. this type of biofortification has been done. Now, I think one last thing that I do want to talk about, some of the areas that relate to environment, besides the carbon market that I touched upon. The government of India's policy in a big way has opened up the doors for ethanol. And ethanol, 20% blending will be now allowed, and going forward with that, with the positive outlook on that front. Now, ethanol, and directly from sugarcane, earlier it was from molasses. So this big policy change offers an opportunity for many of the farmers to earn more and create a big market for ethanol, because 80% of our crude oil is being imported. So as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat, or whatever we call ethanol, provided we can produce it in a globally competitive manner and in an environmentally sustainable fashion. Now, the problem with sugarcane is 1 kilogram of sugar is about 2,000 liters of water. Now, Maharashtra, particularly, think about it, 4% of the cropped area in Maharashtra is under sugarcane, consumes almost 2/3 of the irrigation water of the state. Now, water is extremely scarce in Maharashtra. And if we are going to produce ethanol from sugarcane there without bringing in technologies like drip, which can save 50% of the irrigation water, then there could be a challenge of how to keep it in a sustainable manner. But for eastern states, particularly Bihar, eastern UP, further down, if you can go even to Assam, if you look 100 years back, sugarcane belt was basically eastern UP and Bihar. And that is where the natural water from the glaciers, Himalayas keeps coming, and North Bihar in particular. I think that's where they have ample water, and that water can be converted into ethanol via sugarcane. It can be a sustainable and very lucrative, provided we have established. When I visited North Bihar, in terms of that, there were 28 sugar factories and 25 were closed because of management problem. So I think massive, investments are needed to convert this natural water in a sustainable manner, to convert that first into cane, and then from cane to ethanol that we can do. Prosperity can come in that area. The other thing that has been talked about is oil palm. On Independence Day also, Honorable Prime Minister talked about oil palm, and I'm told about 11,000 crore, a new program on oil seeds and oil palm has been launched, particularly for the eastern belt. Northeast also, but there is quite a bit of area in Odisha and upper delta of Andhra Pradesh. Now, this is a tricky thing because at present, roughly 60 to 65% of our edible oil consumption in the country is being imported. And roughly of all the oils that are being imported for consumption, roughly 70% is oil palm. And we are hostage to, in a way, Malaysian and Indonesian policies on that front. So this, as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat, provided what we can do, because smallholders, it's a 6-year gestation lag. Farmers cannot hold on for 6 years before the oil palm matures and starts giving you that. And that is where farmers will need a sort of some income support and some capital support to go for oil palm. But this can also offer an opportunity for increasing the income in a sustainable manner. And at least in the Andhra, Odisha belt where it can be grown, this can also do a lot of carbon sequestration. And you can create a sort of a forest in that. In Northeast, you have to balance with the other trees oil palm. So it can't be just oil palm. It has to be so that biodiversity is maintained. But many other places in the upland, rice in Andhra and Odisha, oil palm can be. So these are various ways. One more thing on the environmental front, since West Bengal is a big, I think, largest producer of rice as well as of potatoes. I think potato is an important crop in West Bengal. I was visiting Agra, which is big storehouse of potatoes, and storage, cold storages are nothing else but power. And they were getting power at 10 rupees per kilowatt hour from the state grid. And if they put all the solar system, they can reduce the cost to 3 rupees, 4 rupees per kilowatt hour, and it can do. So I think massive business opportunities can arise to go for solar into cold storages. And last thing, and I'll stop there, which is, I'm not sure how much of sunlight West Bengal gets and Northeast and other states get, but solar as a third crop for the farmer. At present, we have set big targets for solar energy, 100 gigawatt to be produced under this solar alliance that India is heading with France. Great opportunity, but at present, the model that we are following is large tracts of land being given to big industries, which are gone for the next 25 years. Nothing else can be grown there. But if you raise the height of the solar panel to about 10 to 12 feet, then and have some distancing between them so that sunlight can come and do the photosynthesis of the crops being grown below that. So you can have two crops that the farmer grows on the same field, and you can have the third crop, which is a solar crop at 10 feet height. And throughout the year, that electricity that is being generated can be put in the grid. So we need a policy change for buyback. We are doing, and we have done a pilot actually in Delhi, agriculture land. And Delhi government has calculated that farmer can be given 1 lakh rupees per acre per year for solar trees, and investment will be by somebody else. So farmer has to only commit that for the next 25 years, they will not uproot these, because that's the life cycle of those solar trees. So solar as a third crop, and within the rural areas, providing power for agro processing and cold storages and other things besides the irrigation and the Kusum story. So I would say these are some of the ideas that don't talk of increasing productivity, talk of increasing productivity with sustainability and climate resilience, and talk of increasing food security with nutritional security, and talk of farmers connect, that it is not just tonnage, it has to be farmer centric so that farmers' income can also increase. For that, we have to shift from price policy approach to income policy approach wherever it is possible, from subsidies to investments, and also from our consumer bias to perhaps producer bias, if we want a sustainable income growth of the farmers where the largest percentage of workforce is engaged. And that is critical for your manufacturing revolution. Unless the rural people have higher incomes, your industrial revolution immediately starts facing demand constraint, that after you and me, our demands are satisfied, the base income of the masses being low, you face demand constraint. And that is what China did during 78 to 84. And that's the only way to alleviate poverty, alleviate malnutrition in the country, and create an ecosystem that also reduces inequalities and makes the largest number of people prosperous. I would stop there, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity I would be very happy to take on any quick Q&A if there are any questions.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Professor Gulati, for your visionary address. Now, on behalf of CII Eastern Region Agriculture and Food Processing Subcommittee, may I request Mr. Jayanta Chakraborty, Senior General Manager, East Indophil Industries Limited, to be engaged with Professor Gulati for a fireside chat, please.
Thank you, Dr. Gulati, for a wonderful presentations on the present agriculture. I think in agriculture in present days has changed drastically over last 2 decades, be it in productivity, good agricultural practices, nutrition, food security, sustainability, better livelihood, technology, and many aspects also. So now one query we have that in one way, government is agri-food policy of late has been highly skewed towards freebies, subsidies instead of investment actually. And be it fertilizer subsidy, free electricity or direct benefit scheme. In FY 2021, R&D and extension investment was meager 0.39% of agri GDP. So if this is the state of affairs, in other way, government is also looking for promoting market-driven, demand-based agriculture. Is it not conflicting to each other, Professor Gulati? What do you take on it, Dr. Gulati?
Well, there is a bit of political economy in the policy choices. In subsidies, when you announce something free, you feel they will give you votes immediately and you can come into power. So there is a race towards announcing freebies, as you rightly said, subsidies. Urea, 75% subsidy on urea. Food at 2 rupees, 3 rupees, and half of that or 1/3 of that definitely is leaking away. So there is a massive inefficiency in these policies. With the digital world and IT prowess that India has, you can reach into the accounts of each one. So I'm not saying that you reduce the support to farmers, but change the form in which to support the farmers and give them the freedom rather than creating distortions. And government needs to, instead of more freebies, has to invest more. And investment in, first to start with, R&D. R&D, $1 billion if you put in agri R&D, that gives subsidy or power subsidy. So that's the ratio. So the country can benefit in a big, big way if freebies are restricted and investments are promoted. And not only by the government itself, but also create an ecosystem where the private sector can come and invest in agri R&D and entire infrastructure, the value chain that has to be created in this country to reduce losses and to reduce the intermediation costs and all those things. All that is a private sector job. But unfortunately, our policies are stuck where democratic system, whether we blame that or whatever, the freebies, it's a vote catching thing.
Yeah. Doctor, one thing you have mentioned that sustainability should be the way forward in agriculture, sustainability.
Yes.
But for agriculture to be sustainable in the long term, it needs to go hand in hand with farm income and farmers' prosperity also.
Sure.
So otherwise farmers may not take sustainability issues very seriously. So their income will be increased. But presently we have seen, in spite of producing 305 million tons of food also, their farmers' economy has not changed to that extent. So how do you think that sustainability will be implemented in India with this approach actually?
2 comments I would give here. One, if you look into the past, compared to where the farmers' incomes were and where they are today, there is a reasonably good progress. There is no doubt about that. I mean, it used to be all a bullock cart economy, and now it's all tractors everywhere. And incomes have increased. I know farmers who can easily earn 1 lakh an acre, But the challenge that you are saying is sustainability. So in Punjab, farmers are earning pretty good incomes because of the large size and high productivity for wheat and rice and assured procurement, so zero market risk, literally. But then the water table is going down because of free power supplies and all that thing. So how do we promote sustainability? And that's where we need to come up with innovative policies and innovative products. You showed in the beginning nano urea. So switching from granular urea to nano urea or putting fertigation. Now, if you have soluble fertilizers, look at our policy. Granular urea is 75% subsidized. Compared to its cost, 75% subsidy is there. So this is the cheapest price in the world. No. And then you look at the soluble fertilizers where the fertilizer use efficiency can be as high as 90-95%. This urea is giving you an efficiency of 30%, 35%. Granular urea is the soluble, but soluble fertilizers are not subsidized. So you see the contradiction in the policy. Same thing, nano urea. So we need to change our policies and also bring in new innovative products. Solar trees, for example, in farmers' fields can augment their income, right? Carbon sequestration, if they are doing, then can they be rewarded for that? So these are the new ideas that we have to ensure. There is no way farmer will accept sustainability at the cost of his lowering income, right? Nobody wants a lower income, no matter what lectures you give. So we have to find out innovative products, innovative ideas, innovative policies where we can augment their income with sustainable productivity growth.
Thank you, Doctor. Doctor, one more query is that agriculture is the only business where if we compare agriculture, a farmer and the industrialist, both are actually the producer actually. Here, agriculture, a farmer also requires land, labor, capital, everything he requires, but he does not have the liberty of fixing the price of his produce also. Whereas a cement manufacturer, he knows that per bag will be 350 also. And for a farmer, he has not liberty for crop diversifications also, because he is totally dependent on the government policies and all those things. So how this vicious cycle could be broken in future, where for farmer can see the visibility of his pricing of his produce for his better livelihood?
That's what price discovery is all about. One, that he doesn't have the power to fix his price. Well, he can fix his price that I don't want to sell below 100 rupees a kg. Question is, are there buyers at 100 rupees a kg? So what he needs is a demand. What he needs is, where is the demand? The problem with our agriculture system is it is supply driven. It is not demand driven. You know, that was good in 60s and 70s when there was a huge shortage. Whatever they produce will be absorbed. To create a demand-driven system in agriculture, you need to do cropping pattern looking at future prices rather than last year's prices. What happens typically in our system? Last year, the price of onion was good. Everybody grows onion.
Yeah.
So last year price was 30 rupees a kg. When everybody grows onion, it will fall to 3 rupees a kg.
Yes.
So there is a typical cobweb problem because we don't allow the future markets to function. The satellites can actually see how much area is being put under which crop. And if the demand supply can match with that and advisory can be given to the farmers that already there is too much area under this crop, don't grow this crop. Some advisory has to be given. You know, government cannot buy everything. Remember this is impossible. Nowhere in the world this has happened. So you have to put options, for example, in the system, in the future markets, if you do and find out. But more digital world, if the farmer producer organization can create a scale, can grade their commodities. There is no grading in this country. I don't know what is A grade, B grade, C grade. You go into a total, heap of any fruit and everybody picks the best, and after some time they start selling. So the price discovery starts when you start grading to start with, you start packaging, and this individual farmer may not be able to do, but farmer producer organization should be promoted. This is what had happened, and then you can help them to assess the quality and let the big players come in to buy it, the way milk revolution happened. Milk revolution was not a
Yeah.
government price. It was the processor and the cooperatives. So you can create similar thing for other commodities.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. One thing, be it West Bengal or in northeastern states, we are dominated by large number of small farm holdings, and here also farmers' excellence is there for high yielding varieties and everything is there. But what is your suggestions in the short term perspective of say about 5 years? What are the priority areas or priority sector, priority initiatives government should take or industry should take in perspective of West Bengal and northeastern states?
Marketing, marketing, marketing.
Yeah,
I think we have done enough on the production side. Now for marketing, you need infrastructure. First, the things have to be evacuated from northeast to where the demand is.
Yeah.
Right? Why the milk is coming all the way from Gujarat to Calcutta? Why the milk is coming all the way 2,000 kilometers? Why can't it come from Bihar? Why can't it come from Odisha? And that's where you need to create market and create an infrastructure and then incentivize that. Same thing, floriculture in Northeast, wonderful. I mean, the type of flowers that can be grown there, you can't grow it anywhere else. You can airlift that. And you need to create, that's what I was saying, in the digital world, you can create a market all over India for the products being grown anywhere. But to do that, you have to create a logistic massive exercise. The Amazons of this world, why can't be, farmer markets of this world on the digital platform?
I think is a nice because we are very fortunate that our minister, Mr. Biplab Mitra, is with us. I think this is the one area where we can get his guidance and support in future also. And one last query from our sides, Doctor. In last 10 years, particularly 7 to 8 years, the startup ecosystem in agriculture is now in a very big way. And be it technology, be it artificial intelligence, be it blockchain, they are really creating a very good impact. Now, recently, Government of India has announced the drone policy also in the agriculture also. So how do you foresee the integration of the wisdom of the farmer, government policies, and FPOs and these startups could make India, I should say, a great future for the prosperity of the farmers?
I think these are the great signs of hope that, and many are, homegrown startups, majority of them, and they are coming up in a big way. Even if 10% scale up, remember all these big wigs of this world today, whether it was Windows, Google, or others, started from garage, and they became the largest companies in the world. So even if 10% or 5% of 450 or 500 odd agri startups that have come up in the country, 5 to 10% scale up, I think that would be a great success story of India. My feeling is this country is blessed. 50% of its area literally is arable. Of the geographical area, this is very, very high in the world, highest perhaps one of them. Think about the arable area that we have and what China has. China is much less arable area than us.
Yeah.
And their holding size is smaller than us. And their agriculture produces 3 times than us, 3 times than us. So we can easily not only feed ourselves and enrich our farmers, but also feed South Asia or even Africa, which is a deficit in food still. So I think we have to put the whole policy environment ecosystem that is demand driven. So first identify the market. When you start a market, in your industry, when you start whether producing a cement or fertilizer or anything, first thing that you look at, where is my market?
Yeah.
Now that unfortunately farmer is not tuned to. ओ सरकार खरीद ले मेरे से सब कुछ. अरे भाई सरकार कितना खरीदेगी और कितना अपने पास रखेगी? Already you know what is happening to the Food Corporation of India's stocks 2.5 times than what we need. It's a waste of resources. So I think we have to create a demand driven system, and this ecosystem that is emerging for startups is a great hope of India to remain self-sufficient. In fact, be a net exporter of agriculture. India has all the seasons and perhaps the largest percentage of geographical area as arable area. But we'll have also good population, also the largest population and growing income. So we will feed ourselves hopefully for the next 20 years.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, sir. We'll just
I
take
think-
one question from Dr. Partha Dasgupta.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you said that, this is related to the talk you did. Very impressed, but questions still remain in mind. And I had heard this before, and you said that again today, that Indian farmer is net taxed. And you also said that the support that the farmers are given in China is 5 times more than the support that is given in India. And from your earlier analysis, I have also seen that China no longer buys, procures food at MSP like India does. So the contradiction, like all this farmer star and everything that we have been hearing about prolonged, for so many months now, is that because they see an indication that government is no longer going to buy food grain from Punjab and Western UP farmers at MSP, which China does not do anymore, and they used to do that. And yet you say that the net support given in China is 5 times more than what we give, and Indian farmer is net taxed. So this is something that's a kind of a riddle to me, and if you can please kindly explain exactly how this happens.
I think if you look at the OECD results and also the paper that I sent you, China and most of the OECD countries, China's support to agriculture is about today 15% of the value of agricultural output, gross value of output, 15%. Ours is -3, -4%. So we are in the negative zone, right? We used to be even -15, -12%. So there was a huge implicit taxation that has reduced, but we are still in the taxation range, even after accounting for input subsidies that we are giving, and that is because we want to suppress the price at the drop of a hat. You look at last week's, SEBI's announcement, or before that, the Ministry of Consumer Affairs announcement on pulses, and whenever prices go up a little bit immediately. So that shows there is a consumer bias in the system. The very fact that you don't allow the private sector to hold stocks, what will happen? When the farmer will bring produce in the market, at the time of harvest, harvest will come within a month and a half, right? And then somebody has to store it for the rest of the year to feed you. Now, if you don't allow storage and you put a storage limit, you can't have more than 100 tons, then who is going to create storage? And then the prices will collapse whenever the bumper harvest comes. And that is the taxation, implicit taxation. So this mindset is continuing in India since Essential Commodities Act of 1955, in fact, which has a genesis in 1943. It was the British government, because of the Bengal famine, had started off this Defense of India rules, and it was nomenclature was changed in 1955, and still we are sticking with that. Now China has thrown that all out of the window, and they want their farmers to get the best price. And all the input subsidies in China are been aggregated. About last year, they gave about $22 billion worth of input subsidy to the farmers, but not through subsidizing fertilizer. They gave it on per mu basis, per hectare basis. Mu is one of their land unit measurement. On mu basis, that this is what you will get, and you can buy anything out of this, whether you want farm machinery services, or you want fertilizers, or you want seeds, or you want this, that. So there is no distortion in that sense. That's what I'm saying. You have to change the system from direct price support, which is distorting both on the output side as well as input side. Because there is a price support in Punjab for wheat and rice, they overproduce wheat and they don't want to change because they don't want to take any market risk. So what is happening to water table? And what is happening to the stocks with the government? Massive, your and my money, tax money is all locked in those 100 million tons against a buffer stock norm of 41 million tons. In July, it was 110 million tons. So massive total waste of resources in the country. So, and China's R&D expenditure is way above ours. So their productivity levels are way above ours. So I think we have to, and they have invested huge in infrastructure. I think that is where we need to focus. Infrastructure, R&D, and if you want to support through, whatever income support you want to give, directly give as aggregate input subsidy or whatever. But we have to create markets where the farmer gets a signal of what the price of this will be. So a demand-driven system, a forward-looking system, look into the front, rather than into the mirror and looking at the rear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Gulati. It was a very wonderful
you.
interactive session. We got a lot of policy ideas from you. With this context of our policy focus should be on agriculture marketing, we are privileged and honored to have Sri Biplab Mitra, our Honorable Minister in charge, Department of Agriculture Marketing, Government of West Bengal. Request Sri Mitra to deliver your special address, please.
Thanks to CII dignitaries for arranging this type of discussion regarding the development of agriculture and its products throughout India and comparison with other countries. Mr. Gulati has stated regarding this the importance of marketing of agricultural products and its distribution among the people, the beneficiaries. I am grateful to the CII organization for inviting me in this discussion through virtual meeting. You all know that our government is promoting mother language, Bengali, in every sphere of government's activities. So I like to say something regarding government's views in respect of agricultural marketing of agricultural products and biofertilizers used at the time of plowing and cultivating the land. Now I am stating in Bengali regarding my government's views and policies in respect of agricultural products and its marketing in the state as well as in our states of the country. সালে ক্ষমতায় আসার পর থেকে মাননীয় মুখ্যমন্ত্রী শ্রীমতী মমতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়ের নেতৃত্বে বর্তমান সরকার কৃষকদের উন্নতি সাধনে নিরবিচ্ছিন্ন ভূমিকা পালন করে চলেছেন। আমি মূলত আমার বক্তব্য কৃষিজ বিপণন দপ্তরের বিগত 10 বছরে যে বিপুল কর্মযজ্ঞ ঘটেছে তার উপরেই সীমাবদ্ধ রাখব। চাষি ভাইদের আর্থ ও সামাজিক উন্নয়ন সাধন এই সরকারের সর্বাধিক গুরুত্ব প্রাপ্ত বিষয়গুলির মধ্যে একটি। কৃষিক্ষেত্রে ব্যাপক সম্ভাবনার যে সুযোগ রয়েছে তার পূর্ণ সদ্ব্যবহার করার জন্য প্রয়োজন একটি সুদক্ষ কৃষিজ পণ্য বিপণন ব্যবস্থা, কৃষকদের লাভজনক মূল্য প্রাপ্তি একটি চলমান প্রক্রিয়া এবং বর্তমান সরকার যে বিষয়টি বিশেষভাবে পর্যালোচনা করে এমন একটি অনুকূল পরিবেশ সৃষ্টির জন্য সর্বদা চেষ্টা চালিয়ে যাচ্ছেন, যেখানে ব্লক স্তর পর্যন্ত বিস্তৃত আধুনিক বিপণন পরিকাঠামো মধ্যস্বত্ব ভোগীদের বিলুপ্তি ঘটাবে এবং কৃষকদের পূর্ণ লাভের সুযোগ করে দেবে। এ প্রসঙ্গে চাষি ভাইদের সাথে সরাসরি বিপণন ব্যবস্থা গড়ে তোলার উদ্দেশ্যে রাজ্য সরকারের উদ্যোগে 186 কৃষক বাজার নির্মাণ বিশেষভাবে উল্লেখ করার প্রয়োজন রয়েছে। এগুলির নির্মাণ কাজে সম্পূর্ণ হয়ে গেছে। এই কৃষক বাজারগুলির অধিকাংশই বর্তমানে কার্যকরী হয়েছে এবং গ্রাম বাংলার কৃষিজ বিপণন ক্ষেত্রে এক নতুন আঙ্গিকের সূচনা ঘটিয়েছে। শুধুমাত্র পাইকারি বাজার ব্যবস্থার প্রসার ঘটানো নয়, এই কৃষক বাজারগুলি মধ্যস্বত্ব ভোগীদের প্রভাব অনেকাংশে হ্রাস করতে সক্ষম হয়েছে। ক্ষুদ্র এবং প্রান্তিক চাষি ভাইরা আজ এই কৃষক বাজারের মাধ্যমে ক্রেতার কাছে তাদের উৎপাদিত ফসল সরাসরি বিক্রয়ের সুযোগ পাচ্ছেন। বলা যেতে পারে কৃষকদের আর্থ ও সামাজিক উন্নয়ন ঘটানোর জন্য বর্তমান রাজ্য সরকার যে সমস্ত বৈপ্লবিক ব্যবস্থার প্রবর্তন করেছেন, এটি তার মধ্যে একটি অন্যতম গুরুত্বপূর্ণ পদক্ষেপ। সামগ্রিকভাবে বাজারকে কৃষকদের কাছে পৌঁছে দেওয়ার এটি একটি সর্বোৎকৃষ্ট উদ্যোগ। এছাড়াও কৃষি ক্ষেত্র থেকে বাজার সংযোগের জন্য রাস্তা সহ নানা পরিকাঠামো নির্মাণের কাজে গুরুত্ব দেওয়া হচ্ছে সরকারের পক্ষ থেকে। কৃষক উন্নয়নে অভিনব প্রকল্প হিসাবে সুফল বাংলা রাজ্য সরকারের আরেকটি অতীব গুরুত্বপূর্ণ উদ্যোগ। বর্তমান বাজার ব্যবস্থায় এটি একটি কৃষক অভিমুখী বিকল্প বাণিজ্যিক মডেল হিসাবে প্রতিষ্ঠা লাভ করেছে বললেও এটা অত্যুক্তি হবে না। এই প্রকল্পের সরকারি ব্যবস্থাপনায় কৃষকদের উৎপাদিত ফসল ন্যায্য মূল্যে সরাসরি ক্রয় করা হয়। কৃষকরা ব্যক্তিগতভাবে বা ফার্মার্স প্রডিউসার কোম্পানি তৈরি করে তার মাধ্যমে ফসল বিক্রি করতে পারেন। বর্তমানে 300-র অধিক অর্থাৎ মোর দেন 300 সুফল বাংলা বিপণীর মাধ্যমে সারা রাজ্যে প্রায় 44,000 পরিবারের কাছে কৃষকরা সরাসরি তাদের উৎপাদন পৌঁছে দিতে সক্ষম হচ্ছে। এই পদ্ধতিতে মধ্যস্বত্ব ভোগীরা অর্থাৎ মিডিল ম্যানের যে প্রভাব, এটা লক্ষণীয় মাত্রায় কিন্তু হ্রাস পেয়েছে। যখনই বাজারে কোনো কৃষি পণ্যের মূল্য আকস্মিকভাবে হ্রাস পায়, তখন সরকার সুফল বাংলার মাধ্যমে ন্যায্য মূল্যে ওই ফসল ক্রয় করতে শুরু করেন, যাতে বাজারে স্থিতাবস্থা ফিরে আসে এবং কৃষকরা পুনরায় সঠিক মূল্য পেতে শুরু করেন। বিষয়টি বহুবার সাফল্যের সাথে এটা প্রমাণিত হয়েছে। বিগত বছর আলুর অত্যাধিক উৎপাদন চাষি ভাইদের একটি বিশেষ চিন্তার কারণ হয়ে দাঁড়িয়েছিল। সরকার চাষি ভাইদের স্বার্থ রক্ষা করার চিন্তা থেকে পটাটো প্রকিউরমেন্ট অ্যান্ড ডিস্ট্রিবিউশন 2020 প্রকল্পে প্রায় 42,000 মেট্রিক টন আলু ক্রয় করে এবং সেই আলু সুফল বাংলা বিপণীর মাধ্যমে বিক্রয় করে কৃষকদের স্বার্থ সুরক্ষিত করে দিয়েছিল। সম্পূর্ণ বছর ধরে চলতে থাকা বিভিন্ন ফসল এবং সবজির চয়নোত্তর প্রশিক্ষণ নিরবিচ্ছিন্নভাবে কৃষকদের উন্নত ফসল সংরক্ষণ ক্ষমতা যুক্ত ফসল ও সবজি ব্যবসায়ীতে পরিণত করছে। এই প্রশিক্ষণে উপকৃত হচ্ছেন কৃষক পরিবারের তরুণ প্রজন্ম, বিভিন্ন স্বনির্ভর গোষ্ঠী কৃষি ও কৃষি পণ্য উৎপাদক সংস্থা এরা সবাই উপকৃত হচ্ছে। এ প্রসঙ্গে বিশেষভাবে উল্লেখ করছি হুগলি জেলার বৈদ্যবাটিতে অবস্থিত নেতাজি সুভাষ ট্রেনিং সংস্থাটির কথা, যেটি পূর্ব ভারতে কৃষিজ বিপণন সংক্রান্ত প্রশিক্ষণের এখনো পর্যন্ত একমাত্র সংস্থা। আমি আরো জানাতে চাইছি যে রাজ্যে জৈব চাষের সম্ভাবনা রয়েছে, সেই সুযোগ কাজে লাগাতে এবং জৈব চাষে চাষিদের উৎসাহিত করতে রাজারহাটে একটি জৈব হাট তৈরির কাজ আরম্ভ করে প্রায় শেষ হওয়ার মুখে, যেখানে শুধুমাত্র জৈব ফসল কেনাবেচা হবে। এটাই শুধু নয়, এই পদ্ধতিতে তৈরি ফসল অর্থাৎ জৈব সারটা ব্যবহার করা হলো কিনা সেটা পরীক্ষার জন্য ল্যাবরেটরিও সেখানটায় একটা থাকবে, এবং জৈব পদ্ধতিতে উৎপাদিত ফসলের শংসাপত্র সেখান থেকে ব্যবস্থা থাকবে। পশ্চিমবঙ্গে শাক সবজি উৎপাদনে দেশে প্রথম স্থান অধিকার করেছে। এই সর্বোৎকৃষ্ট কৃষি পণ্য আন্তর্জাতিক বাজারে বিভিন্ন দেশে রপ্তানি করার জন্য পশ্চিমবঙ্গ সরকার বিশেষ গুরুত্ব দিয়ে পরিকাঠামো নির্মাণ করছে, যা রপ্তানিযোগ্য ফসলের চিহ্নিতকরণ যেমন একদিকে করবে এবং সঙ্গে সঙ্গে একটা বিশেষ শৃঙ্খল তৈরির মাধ্যমে নানা দেশে রাজ্যের ফসলকে পৌঁছে দিবে। আমাদের আজকের এই সভায় আমি আপনাদের আহ্বান জানাচ্ছি, মাননীয় মুখ্যমন্ত্রী শ্রীমতী মমতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়ের নেতৃত্বে ঘটে চলা এই বিপুল কৃষক উন্নয়ন অভিমুখী কর্মকাণ্ডে সামিল হওয়ার জন্য। আপনারা আজকে সেই কারণেই যে এই ধরনের একটা গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বিষয়কে নিয়ে আজকে এই আলোচনা চক্রটার ব্যবস্থা করেছেন, তার জন্য আমি আপনাদের ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। আবার আপনারা এগিয়ে আসুন এবং প্রকৃত অর্থে কৃষক বন্ধু ট্রেড পার্টনার হিসাবে আপনারা একটা বড় ভূমিকা নিতে পারেন, সেই ভূমিকাটা নিন। রাজ্য সরকারের দায়িত্বপ্রাপ্ত মন্ত্রী হিসাবে এই কাজে আপনাদের পাশে থাকার প্রয়োজনীয় সব ধরনের সহযোগিতা করার পূর্ণ অঙ্গীকার আমি সরকারের পক্ষ থেকে জানাচ্ছি। আমরা সকলে মিলে চেষ্টা করলে পশ্চিমবঙ্গে কৃষিক্ষেত্রে যে বিপুল সম্ভাবনা রয়েছে তার পূর্ণ মাত্রার সুযোগ গ্রহণ করে রাজ্যে কৃষি বিনিয়োগের এক সুবৃহৎ পরিবেশ তৈরি করা সম্ভব হবে। উপকৃত হবে সমস্ত রাজ্যবাসী। এর সঙ্গে আমি আপনাদের সমস্ত আলোচনাটা শুনছিলাম, মিস্টার গুলাটির অত্যন্ত গুরুত্বপূর্ণ যে বক্তব্য সেটা আমি শুনেছি, এবং তারপরে যে প্রশ্নগুলো তাকে করা হয়েছে এবং তিনি তার যে উত্তর দিয়েছেন সেটাও কিন্তু আমি সম্পূর্ণটাই শুনেছি। খুব ভালো লাগছে যে একটা ইনোভেটিভ আইডিয়ার মধ্য দিয়ে আমরা কিভাবে আমাদের উৎপন্ন ফসলকে কৃষকদের মাধ্যমে উৎপাদন করে সেটাকে বাজারজাত করে ব্যবস্থা করে তাদের ন্যায্য দাম পাইয়ে দেওয়ার ব্যবস্থা করার সঙ্গে সঙ্গে সাধারণ মানুষের কাছেও সেই ফসলটা পৌঁছে দেওয়ার ব্যবস্থা করা, সেই সম্পর্কে যে আলোচনাটা আজকে এখানটায় আমরা শুনলাম, এটা নিঃসন্দেহে আমাদের অনুপ্রাণিত করবে, আমাদের সরকারকে অনুপ্রাণিত করবে। এবং অবশ্যই আমি যেহেতু এই মার্কেটিং ব্যবস্থার সঙ্গে যুক্ত এগ্রিকালচার প্রোডাক্টের, সেই জন্য আমি অবশ্যই আপনাদের আজকের আলোচনায় যে সাজেশনগুলো উঠে এসছে সেই আলোচনাগুলো মাধ্যমে যে আমরা অনেক জিনিস যেগুলো গ্রহণ করার মতো সেগুলো অবশ্যই আমরা গ্রহণ করব এর থেকে, যাতে সামগ্রিকভাবে আমাদের রাজ্য এবং অবশ্যই আমাদের দেশ উপকৃত হতে পারে। আপনাদের সবাইকে আমার নমস্কার, আমার শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি।
ধন্যবাদ মন্ত্রী মহাশয়। I thank our Honorable Minister, Mr. Biplab Mitro. Now, may we request for a special address by Dr. B.N. Srinivas Murthy, Director, ICAR IIHR, ex-Horticulture Commissioner, Department of Agriculture, Cooperation and Farmers Welfare, Government of India. Over to you, Dr. Murthy.
Yeah, good afternoon to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you for introducing me, Abhijita. Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Marketing, West Bengal, Biplab Mitra ji, and most respected Professor Ashok Gulati ji for having given such a wonderful oversight about the Indian agriculture scenario, and also what are the problems that the Indian agriculture is facing, how to come out of those problems. And A.K. Banerjee ji, Chairman, CII, Eastern Region, and Ranjit Singh Chaudhary, Co-Chair, and all other panelists who are joined today, and also those who are joined online on other platforms. Very good afternoon to all of you. With the salutes to the Indian farmers who are producing food for all of us, I want to start this particular interaction with you people. I am working on horticulture sector. As you know, that horticulture sector is one of those sectors which have done wonderfully well with the production of about 329 million tons of horticulture produce from an area of about 27 million hectares out of 154 million hectares of arable land that is available in our country. But the problems of horticulture farmers are enormous when compared to others. This is precisely based on the nature of crops that the farmer is growing. When it comes to perennial crops like fruits and plantation crops, it is much more. The decision what he has done in the beginning, that will be carried almost half of his life. Like that, many of these crops, which the results are come after about 5 or 6 years. If any mistakes that he has done in the beginning will going to be a disastrous if there is going to be he is taking up the decisions. I want to just give you a couple of scenarios where the farmers are facing much of the problems in horticulture farmers, especially the availability of good quality planting material, seed and planting material. This is one of those areas where farmers are facing the problem. The right quality of seed or planting material is very important. With this, we can increase our productivity or the production by about 15 to 20% by just identifying the right quality planting material and also the seeds. Professor Gulati was mentioning about changing the production-oriented aspect to market-oriented research or even marketing aspects. What the farmers these days are doing is we have to go for what the market demands rather than what we can produce. This is one of the very, very important things. When it comes to Northeastern region and also West Bengal, there are quite a few very good examples. They can go for local to global. That's what our Prime Minister is telling. There are quite a few natural resources that the farmers can utilize, identify the crops which are potential in that region, do very well based on the agroclimatic conditions, the availability of resources, they can do very well. Some of the best examples that is emerging from Northeastern region are crops like pineapple, the dragon fruit, kiwi, passion fruit, and avocado for that matter. And also of late, Government of India is introducing the policy of increasing the oil production through oil palm. The task force that was set up to identify the areas with good suitability for oil palm cultivation, they have massive area identified for in the Northeastern region. This is one of the very good thing that can take it up, but at the same time, we should not harm the biodiversity. What has happened, what is happening, and what is also happened in Malaysia should not happen to our region. That is my concern at this stage. Another thing is farmers are producing a lot. There is no market. The thing that we can solve this particular problem by having very good FPO system, like the milk system that what Gulati was talking, like that, why can't we have this FPO system? The FPO system to sustain there should be like-minded people. They should come together. Government of India has also launched a program for formation of 10,000 FPOs, and there is a very good support of about 30,000 rupees per month for administrative expenses, and 16 lakh rupees as a grant to start with. The ICR system is having about 764 KVKs, and at the helm of affairs, Minister of Agriculture recently announced that each KVK should adopt and develop one FPO as a knowledge partner, come providing the infrastructure, whatever that is required, that I have. With this kind of arrangement, there is a win-win situation for both KVKs and also FPOs. Very good example I can give you. Recently, I had been to Coorg, that is in Karnataka, one FPO, Puttari FPO, that is attached with Gonikoppal KVK, where they are doing extremely well. This particular FPO is both for input supply and also helping creating a platform for farmers to sell their produce, whatever they are producing. And you believe it or not, the CEO of that particular FPO, he told that the farmers are getting about 30 to 40% less cost compared to other markets where they are going for the inputs, both including pesticides or fertilizers, whatever that is there. So this kind of situation will create and help the farmers to reduce their cost of production. At the same time, these FPOs are creating platform for selling their produce, and they have a unit there. And because of this, almost about the KVK that is in Gonikoppal, which was getting about 40 to 50 farmers per day, that was the footfall, it has increased to about 200 to 300. This is a win-win situation for both of them. And whatever the technologies that is being developed from the NAR system, National Agriculture Research System, can go into farmers' field. This is one thing that I wanted to tell you. And what we are talking is the loss in horticulture crops after production. This is enormous. This is to the tune of about 25 to 30% in some of the crops, although some of the studies put it around 18 to 20%. That is the highest figures that the contemplated studies that they are giving. But the loss is very high. This is precisely only because of the nature of the grass, highly perishable, and the logistics is not very strong in our country, as Professor Gulati also mentioned about this. But if we start changing our mindset and creating an infrastructure for this private-public partnership is required, we have a very good agri-infrastructure fund that is being announced by the Government of India a couple of years back with 130 lakh crore rupees with 3% interest subvention and 2 crore rupees without collateral for some of those units, and also 6 to 24, 2 years, 24 months of interest moratorium. With this kind of infrastructure funds available, we can create cold storage that is required. And one of the best things that Northeastern region can do is they can start their own processing unit. And since most of the horticulture producers are high in water, up to about 90-95%, instead of pushing the produce from Northeastern region to the mainland, they can process it, reduce the water, and then go for value addition and sell it to the other big markets. The Northeastern region also is having a lot of logistic problems. The recent initiatives from Government of India, like Krishi Udaan, also the Kisan Rail, they are having some sort of relief for the farmers. But these schemes, although they are there, they are not very popular. Someone need to have for handhold and create infrastructure that is actually the first milestone, that is from the farmer's field to the railway stations or the airport. That is a major problem that we are facing now. If somebody can put some infrastructure fund into that one, then it will be a great game changer for many of the farmers. They can find the market either in Delhi or southern states, wherever it is possible. The Northeastern region is having another major advantage of flora and fauna that is highly suitable for honey production. Government of India is giving a lot of importance for beekeeping these days. National Beekeeping and Honey Mission is having about 500 crore rupees. In that one, there are 3 mini missions: one for production, capacity building, next is for processing, third is for R&D. There is, since Northeastern region is unique, they can go for monocloral honey and they can start branding and selling that can give very good value for their efforts. And NAFED in this particular process is handholding many of the FPOs that is getting created in the northeastern region in the honey sector, and they are going to create a market structure for that. And many other crops, like even in southern states, like banana is getting converted. Banana is getting converted to flour, and that is getting replacing the white whatever you call that maida that we are using for many of our food products. Banana powder is becoming very popular in the northeastern region. It's having a unique banana flora or varieties. They can try about converting this banana, if there is a problem of marketing, into banana flour and start producing. There is at this point of juncture, I am getting another idea that many of these schemes like ODOP, one district, one product, is gaining popularity these days. And ODOP was the brainchild of a couple of people in the agriculture ministry. Initially, we started identifying the GI crop, geographic indication crop, that which are the crop that is popular in that region. If they get the geographic indication, that gets to be promoted. Out of 744 districts wherein ODOP has been identified and announced so far from the both agriculture ministry and food processing ministry combined, about 416 districts are having horticultural produce. It is a great message for all of us, so that horticulture is gaining a lot of popularity. Instead of going for rice and wheat, where there is a lot of problems in production, after production, the distribution problems, storage problems, and the headache for the government for procurement and MSP announcement, there is a thinking in the government of India for diversification from about 65 lakh hectares from rice and wheat towards the horticulture crops or other crops which are paying more. At this point of time, if we can change the geometry of the crop about 3 to 4% based on the agroclimatic conditions suitable for many of these crops, of mostly horticulture crops, it is going to pay a lot for both the farmers and the government. So, from shifting from 1 hectare of the rice and rice or wheat land to horticulture crops, it is going to give an additional income of 1.02 lakh rupees for the farmer. This is one of the statements made in doubling of farmers' income document. And Gulati ji was telling about the biofortified varieties. About 71 of them have been identified. There was a publication from ICR wherein only 9 crops are listed: rice, wheat, pearl millet, lentil, mustard, cauliflower, sweet potato, and pomegranate. I'm happy to share with you here. The pomegranate is Sholapur Lal. That is one of the varieties for which I'm also one of the researchers who developed that particular variety. Is having high content of iron and also vitamin C. And there is a report that about 795 million people are undernourished, and 2 billion people are malnourished globally. And children below 5 years, about 38% are stunted and 35% are underweight. If you take the overall production figures of horticulture crops, fruit and vegetables, that is about 192 million tons and 102 million tons, respectively, vegetables and fruits. That is add up to about 294 million tons. If you equally divide per capita, we should get about 459 grams. That is the mathematical calculation, but it may not happen in reality. But our daily requirement based on National Institute of Nutrition is about 400 grams of fruits and vegetables, about 5 servings of 80 grams each. So still the distribution problem, that's what we are facing here, that we have to solve this one. And he was mentioning about use of solar energy. It was a successful experiment in Delhi. NHRDF, they conducted a trial in one of their KVKs. They have come out with a very good trial that having the panels at the top and growing some of the crops, selected crops, which are partially shade-loving crops at the bottom, are giving very good yields. So if there is a problem of solar light getting into the ground in many of these northeastern regions because of the cloudy weather, why can't we even think of about wind energy if it is possible? That also can be one of the solutions there. And he was mentioning about expensiveness of water-soluble fertilizers. because it's not subsidized. It is so, but they are highly efficient in terms of input efficiency. But we need not depend all the time on the water soluble nutrients. Many of these straight fertilizers, they can replace the requirement of these water soluble fertilizers. Our things to be demand driven cropping system. The Karnataka is one of the best example that they are going for enumeration of each and every field. What is by the application of Android application and also iOS application, they have what is called as Bele Samikshe, wherein each and every farmer is enumerated and their area, what the crop is growing and other things. They started from last 3 years, about 9 cropping season data is available. That is the best part if it can be extended to other parts of the country so that we can give a signal to the farmers not to grow a particular type of crop. This can happen only for annual crops, but in perennial crops, it's most difficult. And as a horticulture commissioner last, I'm very happy to share with you that we created a platform called National Nursery Portal, wherein all the nurseries across the country, they have to register there so that the farmers can get the good quality planting material. Added to that, there was another system what we introduced is for honey traceability, wherein we are wanted to enumerate from all the beekeepers in the country, aggregators, processors, and also the retailers. If we can have a traceability system using blockchain, that is in place now, and shortly we are going to complete that mini project. And here I wanted to mention one of my experiences there. All of you know that many of the brands that you are available in the market are adulterated. We conducted a survey for collecting honey from about 500 samples from 23 different companies. Out of that, only 3 companies have passed. The 20 companies included major multinational companies and also those who are potential to export also. This is some of the things that is happening there. And for Northeast, floriculture is another crop that they can utilize with the help of Krishi Udan, that train system, the airport air cargo system that they are having. They can move the flowers that is produced from there to other places where there is a demand, and orchids are much in demand in other parts of the country. Their shelf life is also longer, more than about 25 to 30 days. These are some of the crops they can utilize. And of late, dragon fruit, what is being named for branding as Kamalam, is also gaining popularity. And there in Mizoram also, Tripura and West Bengal also, it's getting popular. But one caution is that these crops are semi-perennial or perennial type. Once the mistake is done, is a mistake. For that, good quality varieties are required. Many farmers are getting cheated by getting the planting material of whatever the material that they're having. This has to be cautiously taken up, because at present, each kg of dragon fruit or kamalam is getting sold at about 150, 200 rupees. In the second year itself, the farmers can get the almost like whatever the expenditure that is spending, including his training system, he can get back. That kind of attractiveness is there in this particular crop. So they should be very cautious. And at the same time, we need to develop some of the post-harvest technologies that is required for many of these horticulture crops. Instead of moving the water, what I can say, about 90% from northeastern region, which also add to the carbon footprint, we can go for converting these horticulture produce into usable produce. The institute where I am working right now in Indian Institute of Horticulture Research, we have technology for about 54 different crops and about 50 plus post-harvest technology solutions for majority of the crops. The next crop that I can, item that I can think about the potential in northeastern region is the mushrooms, both because of this agroclimatic conditions and the way the farmers or women are involved in the activities. The government of India is also promoting mushroom cultivation. In our institute, we have technology for spawn production. We are going to set up many spawn production units in different KVKs from northeastern region, including our Central Institute of Horticulture that is in Dimapur. With this, few of these women self-help group, if they can come forward, they can set up this spawn unit also. And government of India is promoting mushroom production, not only in the big way, but also in the smaller scale by providing about financial assistance to the tune of about 2 lakh rupees per unit. They can set up about 10 such units for each beneficiary. The other crop, what we are facing, the problem almost on and on is the crop onion, where Gulati ji also told about some of those nitty-gritties of what is the price, how it is going to be, the price situation. The northeastern region has very good potential. Many of the experiments conducted from the KV case, they enumerate that farmers can get up to about 1.5 to 2 lakh rupees higher than the other commercial crops they are growing there. So these instead of going for Zoom cultivation of some of these fruits or vegetables, they can go think about producing onion. And onion is one such crop that is getting exported to majority of the countries through Calcutta only. That's the majority is getting exported to Bangladesh. Instead of moving from Nasik or Maharashtra or even Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, we can, since there is a potential, they can think about going for a higher area under onion production and go for export. These are some of the things, the thoughts that I wanted to share with you. And one more important thing is that we are always talking about organic production. Whether this, whatever the consumers are getting the really organic produced fruits or vegetables, or our farmers can sustain by going for only organic. The best example that has happened in Sikkim also, the complete state went into organic. They are suffering for supply of vegetable crops. So I advocate here, it is only my thought, instead of looking for only organic, go for safe fruits and vegetable production, safe production. In the sense, we have to advocate to the farmers what to spray, when to spray, how much to spray, when to stop spraying, how to harvest, and when to harvest, how to store it. This is some of the things that can build in the farmers so that we can have safe vegetables production and also availability of safe vegetables for the consumers. Finally, the produce that we are going to consume should be residue free. With these few messages, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to interact with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to take one question from Dr. Partha Dasgupta.
Yeah, thank you. This question, thank you, Dr. Murthy, for making a very good presentation here. And I made a lot of notes of what you said, very important. And from my long experience, having remained in the field of agriculture, you said something very important and very true. And you talked about more than 1 lakh rupees per hectare of income advantage if a farmer switched over from a staple crop agriculture to horticulture, which I truly believe, and I have lots of proof of that. But one reason why a large number of farmers practice agriculture of cereal crops, like paddy or wheat or whichever, or millets, is because it's very cheap to grow. I mean, costs almost nothing in terms of input to the farmer, excepting the labor and land preparation and everything. The moment you go for horticulture, it's profit, but before profit, you have to make investment. You have to spend on inputs and spend much more on labor and staking and all sorts of things. In case of fruit crops, there is a gestation period also. So this has always been an issue that, I worked in the field of agriculture extension and trying to promote horticulture among the farmers, including in West Bengal, in other parts of the country. The main thing is that very difficult to arrange for credit, very difficult to arrange for the extra cash that is required from switching over, let us say, even 1/4 of his paddy area into horticulture. The extra money that is required is not easily available. And the kind of land ownership issues and other things which are there. So are there any suitable government schemes or policies that would enable more farmers to get into, let us say, not horticulture, but I just say general high value agriculture, from low value agriculture to high value agriculture? From economics point of view, I have seen that the percentage of gross margin is more or less the same as in the case of rice cultivation or in the case of horticulture. You get a high income after spending high investment into inputs and every other cost. So from where does he get that? So what are the various schemes that are available?
Yeah.
Thank you. If you can enlighten on that.
Thank you, sir. There are quite a few schemes of Government of India that is supporting the horticulture. The first and foremost thing is Mission Integrated Development of Horticulture that was initiated in the year 2005. The new guidelines were going to be get issued. The other guidelines were recently 2014 guidelines say that many of the schemes are credit linked. But during my period, I along with a couple of other people, we made up a team and we studied the complete guidelines. What are the problems that the farmers are facing in terms of getting although the schemes are there, it is not reaching the right people. So we made a lot of changes in the guidelines. About 23 different new initiatives were added. And one of the examples that I quoted is that for mushroom cultivation, where the scheme says about 40 lakh rupees or 20 lakh rupees, that to credited linked subsidy, that we changed into about smaller units of 2 lakh rupees, multiples of that. And also for dragon fruit and kiwi, which very well requires a lot of investment, up to about 3 lakhs rupees per hectare. There was no provision for subsidies or government schemes to promote them in their area. That is also getting included now.
Hello.
That.
Yeah.
And you think it please. Added to that, the best part I can think about is now Government of India has initiated the Kisan Credit Card. The Kisan Credit Card, that system,
yes, sure.
100% saturation they are looking for Kisan Credit Card. This Kisan Credit Card with this kind of loan up to about 3 lakh rupees the farmers can get. This is mostly a small amount, but it is a very right amount for getting the inputs. And the contract farming, that what you are thinking right now, is another best example for switching over from other crops into horticulture crops, wherein group of farmers can come together, have a unit, and somebody can give them the inputs and pre-arrangements they can have. That kind of initiatives are available from Government of India or the different state government also that they are having. With these arrangements, definitely there is a provision for moving from the rice and wheat system. That is also required. To some extent, we can switch over to other horticulture crops. This is my thinking.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, may I request Mr. Ranjit Singh Chugh, Co-Chair CII Eastern Region Agriculture and Food Processing Subcommittee and Chief Operating Officer, Paradip Phosphates Limited, to deliver the concluding remarks, please.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening to Professor Gulati, Infosys Chairperson, Agriculture ICRI. Special good evening to Mr. Biplab Mitra, Honorable Minister in Charge, Department of Agriculture Marketing, Dr. B.N. Srivastava Murthy, Srinivas Murthy, Mr. A.K. Banerjee, my friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. And this session has been very enriching, especially from the lights of technological experts like Mr. Gulati, who has given detailed inputs in regarding what and how things can be done to improve all round aspects, all the verticals of everything related to farm agriculture, be it the farmer income, be what is to be cropped now, because times are changed. There's a time India required green revolution. It has come, it has gone. We are now in excess. So he has very vividly described how things have to change. And Mr. Murthy has added that, yes, India has to shift from only wheat and rice to other products, which in long run will sustain the farmers' income, which is what this whole kind of sessions are herein. And we all who are sitting here have to see how we can add value, enrich the farmers, because they are at the bottom chain in our country. If they get enriched or they get 1 rupee direct in their hand, in whatever way they get, that all 1 rupee will get spent, and it's a circular economy which will give the fruits to the complete complete country. I think so. What Mr. Gulati has added, Professor Gulati specifically, he has focused on so many things, and we have already seen about nano fertilizer. In fact, we from the fertilizer industry sector, who are producers of fertilizer, have appreciated, we very well know that the fertilizer use in India has been disproportionate and not very effective all along. So that is the reason, if we at our field end try to do a lot of improvisations with the farmers to how they can improve their fertility by drip irrigation. So many methods have been, our teams keep on doing that. But apart from all that, while we keep on doing all these things, the new things which will really give game changer are, of course, this nano fertilizer. It's a game changer. Now, today we are only limited to talking to nano urea. Let me tell you, in next 2-3 years, we'll have nano DAP also. These two will be the genuine game changers in the fertilizer space as the time comes. And it is not that it will only increase the fertilization. More importantly, it will ensure the reduction of greenhouse gases at each and every step. And directly also, fertilizer industry is focusing on green ammonia, green hydrogen. Now, when we talk of green hydrogen and green ammonia, green hydrogen will produce green ammonia can give nano fertilizer, nano urea to be more precise. So in this total chain, CO2, which is the key greenhouse effect carbon blocker, gets eliminated. And that is where presently the fertilizer industry is focusing on. And the other thing which the complete team will appreciate, and Dr. Partha Das was also asking the question how the input cost. While we can talk of the input cost of the on the cash crops and horticulture products, but at the same time, the last mile connectivity in terms of selling those products is now across India getting changed very fast through infrastructure. As the infrastructure improves, the movement of these cash crops and horticultural products will drastically go up, and that will help in, to an extent, overcoming what Dr. Das Gupta has been facing in terms of cost of input for all these products are high. It's not only those products cost is high. At the same time, the transportation cost is high. I mean, last mile connectivity means exit route once produced, and if infrastructure is not good, so from a hinterland, if it to reach a market, it used to take 2 days, 3 days. I mean, to a lot of extent, the product खराब भी हो जाता था, सड़ जाता था. Now, as infrastructure is improving, as the cost of refrigeration is reducing, so some products at the produce point itself are put into cold storage and they are moved, because today infrastructure is able to support moving these things. So these are some of the technological things which will help the farmer and farming sector and agro sector in elevating the farm income and thereby going ahead. So I think we're getting very late. Rather than talking too much, everything, whatever is there, a lot of things and most of the things have been said. I'm once again thankful to all the senior people, members of CII, and the speakers. Once again, I'm thankful from behalf of all the attendees, and I'm also thankful to all attendees who have given their time and tried to understand the complexity what we are facing in India. While consumer wants low cost product, farmers income has to be elevated, but we still don't want to come out of the old habits of helping the farmers. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chuk. We would like to thank our sponsors of the program, IFB Agro, Paradeep Phosphate, Bayer, Indofil, Indorama, NABARD, Parekh, State Bank of India, IFCO, and Nuizivedu Seeds. With this, I would like to thank all our distinguished speakers and delegates, and I would request all of you to join our next day session, that is on 31st of August, that is this Tuesday. At the same time, from 3 p.m., we will be having the representatives of government from all the Eastern region states and also Tripura. And also we'll be having the industry stakeholder session for increasing the productivity. It will be a special session dedicated to the FPOs and farmers. So there will be some, talking in Bengali and Hindi also, so that everybody can understand the implication of new age technology and the new inputs. With this, we would like to close our session. Thank you very much.
ये राजेश कुमार हैं। उनका व्यवसाय हरी मिर्च की खेती। इतना ही नहीं, वो एक कृषि उद्यमी है। अपने परिवार का ख्याल रखते हैं, मसालेदार खाना पसंद करते हैं और अपने इलाके के किसानों की जरूरतें पूरी करते हैं। हालांकि उनके पास खेती के लिए जमीन कम है, भारत के 80% किसानों की तरह, लेकिन उनके सामने चुनौतियां कम नहीं हैं। सब कुछ पैदावार और खेती से होने वाली आमदनी पर निर्भर करता है, जो उनके जीने का एकमात्र साधन है। इसीलिए हम उनके साथ उनके खेतों में कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर कड़ी मेहनत करते हैं। बेटर लाइफ फार्मिंग सेंटर में हम ट्रेनिंग वर्कशॉप्स आयोजित करते हैं, अनुभव और जानकारी बांटते हैं, खेती की आधुनिक प्रक्रियाएं सिखाते हैं, सुविधाजनक समाधान देते हैं और उन्हें स्थानीय भागीदारों से जोड़ते हैं। राजेश और अन्य छोटे किसानों के साथ हम भारत की खेती की क्षमता को नई ऊंचाई दे रहे हैं, ताकि लोगों को बेहतर जिंदगी मिले और छोटे किसानों की नई पीढ़ी को प्रेरणा मिले, ताकि गांव की आबादी संपन्नता की ओर अग्रसर हो। यही हमारा उद्देश्य है।
We are one of India's leading logistics solution providers. With a smart warehouse for a stronghold, recognized globally. We design gateways of logical convenience, built firmly on structured networks, customized remarkably. We provide a comprehensive mix of end-to-end services, excelling incomparably. We provide structured and swift services, automated for the modern consumer, digitized efficiently. We ensure the indispensable safety and sustainability of our family and the world we create. Empowered ecologically. We build long-lasting relationships by going above and beyond, delivered proudly. Customers who begin with us, stay with us. We create a sense of belonging, integrating culture with aspirations, experienced warmly. We are yours truly, Parik Integrated Services Private Limited. We are one of India's leading logistics solution providers. With a smart warehouse for a stronghold, recognized globally. We design gateways of logical convenience, built firmly on structured networks, customized remarkably. We provide a comprehensive mix of end-to-end services, excelling incomparably. We provide structured and swift services, automated for the modern consumer, digitized efficiently. We ensure the indispensable safety and sustainability of our family and the world we create. Empowered ecologically. We build long-lasting relationships by going above and beyond, delivered proudly. Customers who begin with us, stay with us. We create a sense of belonging, integrating culture with aspirations, experienced warmly. We are yours truly, Parik Integrated Services Private Limited.
ये राजेश कुमार हैं। उनका व्यवसाय हरी मिर्च की खेती। इतना ही नहीं, वो एक कृषि उद्यमी है। अपने परिवार का ख्याल रखते हैं, मसालेदार खाना पसंद करते हैं और अपने इलाके के किसानों की जरूरतें पूरी करते हैं। हालांकि उनके पास खेती के लिए जमीन कम है, भारत के 80% किसानों की तरह, लेकिन उनके सामने चुनौतियां कम नहीं हैं। सब कुछ पैदावार और खेती से होने वाली आमदनी पर निर्भर करता है, जो उनके जीने का एकमात्र साधन है। इसीलिए हम उनके साथ उनके खेतों में कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर कड़ी मेहनत करते हैं। बेटर लाइफ फार्मिंग सेंटर में हम ट्रेनिंग वर्कशॉप्स आयोजित करते हैं, अनुभव और जानकारी बांटते हैं, खेती की आधुनिक प्रक्रियाएं सिखाते हैं, सुविधाजनक समाधान देते हैं और उन्हें स्थानीय भागीदारों से जोड़ते हैं। राजेश और अन्य छोटे किसानों के साथ हम भारत की खेती की क्षमता को नई ऊंचाई दे रहे हैं ताकि लोगों को बेहतर जिंदगी मिले और छोटे किसानों की नई पीढ़ी को प्रेरणा मिले ताकि गांव की आबादी संपन्नता की ओर अग्रसर हो। यही हमारा उद्देश्य है।
We are one of India's leading logistics solution providers. With a smart warehouse for a stronghold, recognized globally. We design gateways of logical convenience, built firmly on structured networks, customized remarkably. We provide a comprehensive mix of end-to-end services, excelling incomparably. We provide structured and swift services, automated for the modern consumer, digitized efficiently. We ensure the indispensable safety and sustainability of our family and the world we create, empowered ecologically. We build long-lasting relationships by going above and beyond, delivered proudly. Customers who begin with us, stay with us. We create a sense of belonging, integrating culture with aspirations, experienced warmly. We are yours truly, Parik Integrated Services Private Limited.